Hello, this is Joe Glines, and I'm going to demonstrate a quick macro that automatically breaks your cases into random groups, and it's very easy to customize how many groups you want. So often, like in email marketing, we want to split sample test things, and I need to have groups of, randomized groups that have certain numbers in them, or I want to divide them into 3 or 4 different groups. Obviously, it depends on how big my sample is, but it still boils down to is I need to randomize and create my groups. And so what I have here is a macro. So this just opens my data file. We can just not pay attention to that for now. Right here, this is my data file. This is just an ID variable. I've got rid of all the other stuff so it doesn't confuse anybody. Now here is my actual macro. Right, let me move it up a little bit here. So I first define this one called rand_group, and I'm going to declare one token here as groups, and it's going to take one, I forget what that's actually called, one token, one variable that's going to be imported. And then I also created one called newVar, because basically I'd like to be able to tell it what do I want to call my grouping variable, because sometimes I might want to call it something different. Now granted, I don't normally do that, but it is flexible. It just adds a little bit of extra flexibility to it. And so in here, so whatever I put in here when I call my macro, so here it's called rand_group, it's going to say first drop that variable, because sometimes I run this and I have 2 variables. I want to have 2 groups or 3 groups or 4 groups and see how many contacts stay in each one. And so this way I don't have to worry about do I need to worry that the variable is already there, because when I go to compute it, which actually it wouldn't hurt it, so I guess I don't necessarily do this. I just feel better that when it runs and I see something there, I know it was from this macro call and then it worked. This is just a script that empties my output window, and then I create a random variable using uniform distribution between 0 and 1. So this rand, and then I say sort cases by that, okay? And then I assign a row. The row equals that case num. So whatever row number it is, it'll have that value, then I use my macro to put them into groups. And so here is when I've told it how many groups I want. In this case, like I said, I'll be 4. So it'll put them into 4 groups, into the new variable. This is just some other stuff with this rank variables. I have another one that if I want to have rank order groups, I use it in that as well, which is handy. But for this this one comes up a lot. The other one isn't nearly as frequent where it comes up. And then I say, okay, let's get rid of those 2 variables I just created that we no longer need. And then this new variable I created, I know, because I just randomly put them into groups, right, that it's a nominal variable. So why don't I go ahead and set my variable level to nominal. And then let me go ahead and create a label, which will be random groups. And I predefine up to 10 labels. I rarely go up to 10, so this just saves me one more step. And then I do a frequency on it to show how many were in there. And this is a script that'll delete the statistics window every time, because for this purposes, I don't need it, and this is just an easy way to clean up my output. So as with macros, and again, everything between here and here is the actual macro call. So first I need to run it, and this, by the way, this is site, but it is tied to SPSS. So when I run it, you'll see the SPSS output window. It's saying transformations pending, which is really just nothing at this point. And now here's when I call my macro. And so I'm going to say this is call this rand group macro, and that's this definition right here. Right. So call that macro, and for the number of groups, I'm going to create 4 groups, and I want to have my new variable called rand_gp. So when I run this bit, let me move this down just so you can see it literally happen when it runs. So when I run it, you'll see I created this rand group variable. These are the ones that are number 1. But here you see frequency counts, and notice there's no other output, right? That's what that script was, getting rid of the statistics. There's 43. It actually divided out evenly. So there's 43 into each of my 4 groups, which each one makes up, it's 4, so it makes up 25% each. And it's very quick and easy, right? So now we look at here, and there's 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, and that's it. So let's say that I go, you know what? I need to have more than 43 contacts in each group, and just because the sample size, I'm going to do some testing, it's not enough, and I'm limited on the number of respondents I have because this is what someone gave me. So it'll allow for, let's say there's 3, I want to try 3 groups. So I can come back in here and say, let's just, change that to 3, and rerun it. And now it dropped the variable. I don't know if you saw that. It dropped the variable real quickly, created the new one, and now I have 3 groups, 1, 2, 3. It's almost at, it can't quite divide it perfectly evenly, but it's still 57, 58, 57, as good as it can get no matter what. And they're almost at 33.3% each. Let's say, obviously, if I go back and change this to 2, it should be back to where they're evenly split up into 2 groups. And where's my output? Here we go. So 86 each. And then let's do a bigger number here, just for fun. Let's say 6. Copy, run it. Now I have 6 groups of there. So I guess 28 and 28 a couple times and 29, but for the most part, it's as even as it could get. They're being randomly sorted first and then put into the groups, and that's what takes care of the randomness. But you can imagine, granted, it wouldn't take you too long to do this manually, but if you have this macro, right, it's very, very easy. It's a couple seconds to decide how many groups you want, put them in the groups, pre-format. So if we look at here, you can see obviously there's the label, right, and the value labels are both in there. Like I said, I have them pre-coded up to 10, but and you'll see here they're always there, right, because I've told it no matter what. It's a nominal variable. I don't remember if I set the width, but if I was to, let's go back and let me show you real quickly. I don't think I say it in here, but if I wanted to set the width of this, I would say variable width, and that was a hot string I have that just pulls up my syntax, so I don't have to remember all of the stuff. Variable width, and I know I want the new var, so whatever this is, when it gets piped through, right, it'll use it here and here and here, and here, and it gets it, and here, and then it gets it from the very top one, but here, alright, so it goes through everywhere and just pipes that in. And so variable width, and let's say it's going to be 10. Right, so now, and what is it right now? The column width is 7. Okay, and I could have, if I wanted to, set the decimal places to 0. It already defaulted to 0, but we could have set that as well. But that's the beauty of doing things with macros. Now I need to recall my macro to make sure that it includes that new stuff. But now when I call it, you'll see this column's number here should be 10. And there we go. And now it's always 10. And so now, if we had like a problem where when you go to look at the width, this is what that setting is. This width here. If that was always too tight, right, you can have it predefined, which is what I did for this ID variable. So it was wider because it was looking like this, which of course tells you nothing. But that's it. Another quick example of using a macro and how easy, if you do something a lot, how easy it is to build a macro to repeat that action over and over. Thank you.